Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahabushai, Bahasham, Barakahak Wadash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahabushai. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who rule and teach well. And peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the brother Ra'aya with another video, and in this video, I'll be profiling an article from NY Post or NewYorkPost.com titled, Iran threatens to attack Israel with weapons it has not used before as it gets military support from Russia. And this is just another example of biblical prophecy continuing to take place right before our very eyes. Specifically, these different heathen nations building up their biblical alliances for World War III. And Russia is going to be the main ally for Iran when the state of Israel and the United States of America go to war against them. And yesterday I did a video on how, the least of the flock in Jeremiah 49 verse 20, those Amalekite Edomites, the 1948ers over in the Holy Land are going to do something to, foment a wider war in the so-called Middle East, really Western Asia, which is going to draw in the United States of America and on their side, the Northern Army in Joel chapter 2, verse 20. And I also said that on the side of Iran, it's going to drag in their allies like Russia, China, etc., etc. So you can consider this a part 2 to that previous video, the other half of the least of the flock drawing them out, which we're going to get into. Iran is reportedly getting a terrifying arsenal from Russia, including anti-aircraft launchers and fighter jets, and is threatening to fire weapons it has never before used in a severe, extensive, and painful response to the slightest action by the 1948ers. Now let's go to Ezekiel chapter 38. I'm going to start at verse 1. And the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, which is the biblical name for Russia, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him, and say, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws. And that's the Most High putting that old confrontational Soviet Union spirit back on those Russian Edomites, which we can clearly see. Hey, they're filling their role perfectly. They have their war in Ukraine, and what? They're building back up their military and economic ties and alliances with different nations all across the planet. And whenever the West, mainly the U.S., comes against these smaller nations, who's usually the first one to come to their defense? Russia. The BRICS didn't just pop out of nowhere for no reason. They are giving Russia and China as well are giving these other nations an alternative to the Western, swift, economic system, giving them an alternative to the US dollar. And I will bring thee forth and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords, Russia's military might, their soldiers, tanks, fighter jets, helicopters, artillery pieces, S-300s, S-400 missile defense systems, you name it. This is mainly talking about them being gathered down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, or Yahweh in Joel chapter 3, for the battle in the valley of Jehoshaphat, the war of Armageddon, the main part of, World War III. And as we're going to get into in that article, Iran is receiving military assistance from Russia. And also, back around, 2014 to 2016, 2017, when you had the Syrian civil war, who came to Syrian President Bashar al-Assad's side to fight against, the U.S., the 1948ers, and the West's proxy forces, their mercenaries, ISIS? Russia. So Russia already has a military presence in the so-called Middle East. Verse 5, Persia, which is the ancient name for Iran, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, which when you look at those nations, Russia has some form of economic or military dealings with those nations, all of them with shield and helmet. Gomer, which is speaking of Turkey, which at some point Turkey is going to completely abandon the West and NATO and ally themselves with Russia, and all his bands, the house of Togarmah of the north quarters, and all his bands, and many people with thee. Be thou prepared, and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. Gog being a guard unto Persia, which is exactly what we're reading about in this article. Again, Iran threatens to attack the 1948ers with weapons it has not used before as it gets military support from Russia. Abulfazl Amoui, a spokesperson for the Iranian parliament's National Security Committee, told a local news station Monday that the Islamic Republic will confront any 1948er aggression and respond to it. We are ready to use weapons that we have not used before, the official told Al Mayadeen News, according to the Economic Times. We have plans for all scenarios, and we call on the Zionists to act rationally, which is not going to happen. The Most High is going to put it on the spirit on those 1948ers to, foment a war against Iran, to draw out these nations to play into the bigger battle in the Valley of Jehoshaphat. Separately, Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi warned the 1948ers that if it takes even the slightest action, it will face a severe, extensive, and painful response. And, just last week, you had Iran do limited retaliatory strikes against the 1948ers in response to their bombing of their embassy in Damascus, Syria. And Iran, information is coming out saying that, look, Iran just did it to show that we can touch you 1948ers. And if we really want to handle business on you, we're going to get the business clear. Hey, which plays into Joel chapter 3, verse 10. Beat your plowshare. Well, I'll start at verse 9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, the heathen Gentiles. Prepare war, which is exactly what video epistles like this are doing. Prepare for war against Iran, World War III, the battle in the Valley of Jehoshaphat, the War of Armageddon. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say I am strong. Separately, Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi warned the 1948ers that if it takes even the slightest action, it will face a severe, extensive, and painful response. Let the weak say I am strong, because in decades past, Iran wouldn't be making threats like this, much less, directly shooting missiles onto the 1948ers. Hey, but we're coming into the time where the Most High is putting it on the spirit of these different nations to what? Get ready for World War III. So these different things are only going to continue to escalate. The blind support of some Western countries, who's that mainly speaking of? The 1948ers lapdog, the United States of America, to the Zionist regime is the cause of tension in the region, he claimed, according to the Daily Express. And it's going to be the cause for kicking off that wider regional war and dragging down these major nations fully into it. Like I brought out in yesterday's video, which, this precept I can see is going to be coming out a lot more often as we get closer and closer to the battle in the Valley of Jehoshaphat. This is Jeremiah 49, verse 20. Therefore, hear the counsel of Yahweh that he had taken against Edom, the biblical Edomites being known as the so-called white people today. These Americans, Russians, Europeans, those small hats over in the Holy Land, and his purposes that he hath purposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock, those Amalekite Edomites, the 1948ers, shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. The blind support of some Western countries to the Zionist regime is the cause of the tension in the region. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. But now I'm going to jump down to right here. Iran is also getting weapons from Russia, including anti-aircraft launchers and drones. The Washington Report posts. It has vowed to speaking of Russia, has vowed to support Iran with air defense technology and advanced fighter jets, as well as technical support for its spy satellites. Be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, and be a guard unto them. Yeah, I'll read these last two paragraphs. Further agreements between the two countries may also include efforts to rebuild Iran's air force, which is made up of rebuilt Soviet and U.S. jets from before 1979, as well as efforts to increase Iran's supply of spy satellites and help it build more rockets, according to the outlet. Officials in Tehran are also pushing for Russia's anti-aircraft launchers, which military analysts say are capable of destroying stealth fighter jets operated by the U.S. and the 1948ers. Except with this article. But again, biblical prophecy continues to take place right before our very eyes. Apostle Tahar has deemed 2024 to be the hopeful year of Jacob's trouble. And hey, so far since the start of this year, it's been very exciting with one event happening after another. But like I've been saying all throughout this video and yesterday's video, what this is all ultimately going to culminate into is the battle in the Valley of Jehoshaphat, the War of Armageddon, back in Joel chapter 3. This is verse 11. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, the United States of America, the state of Israel, Iran, Russia, China, the NATO nations, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, or Yahweh Shaphat in the Hebrew, which means Yahweh's judgment. For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. And when you go to the first couple of verses in this chapter, you'll see why the Most High is ultimately gathering these heathens, chiefly these Edomites, down into that region to judge them for afflicting the apple of his eye. The true children of Israel, who are known as the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans today. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come get you down, for the press is full. The fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. Multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of Yahweh is near in the valley of decision. And we can see that that day is very near. So that's it with this video. With this video, I hope you sincere Akim and Akwath were edified. Just keep strong. We are almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babal, Kwam Yasharala, and until next time, Shalom.